If people just started recording the call, and I'm excited. We're gonna go. It's gonna be fast paced this morning, and I know you guys all had things you were doing. You know, a lot of you have meetings independently of this meeting, so we're all, obviously plugging into this one. This is something that I think we've talked about doing, but we've got some numbers today. I'm going to be going over both January and February numbers with you, as well as obviously things that we've got going on in the company and the team, not only our team. So let's get started. Before that, let me just hit this with, okay, this is the final day, 2 days of your whoever is working this 90-day plan, the real 90-day plan. And I want you to remember that the benefit of the 90-day plan is not the first 60 days. It's what happens as it compounds out. For those of you who've stayed on it and stayed focused, most people, I've sent you articles, some of you, some people listen to the RVP or listen to RVP feed or watch the Telegram on RVPs, and I don't know if you use it or not, send it out. That's not the point. Hope you do, but I can just get it to you. But as I told you, most people give up on their goals and dreams. It was quit day was the 20th of January. Like 80% of people quit their goals and dreams by February, the mid-February 15th. And then the 20% that go on and actually are focused and on it, really approach it and get after it and get the benefits of it in March. It's like doing a rep at a gym. If you've ever been to a gym, if you've ever worked out, if you've done anything physical, you might do, like at the gym, you might do the first 6 reps were to get you just tired enough that the next 3 are really hard. But the next 3 are what is the payday. The next 3 is what breaks it down and builds it back up. The next 3 is what you work for. Well, that's March. We're finishing up February, but March is it. Look, you got to look at your business. You got to be real about it, as we all do, hey, every 90 days, you're a corporate CEO, man. Companies get punished if something's not off in 90 days after, because 90 days is a track record. So there's no plan B on March as you finish up February. There's no like, well, I'll get them in April. You're at the end of the day, March is a break somewhere. You need to figure out where that breakthrough is. And by the way, I think there's a lot of breakthrough areas, right? We focused on recruiting because ultimately I believe if you're not recruiting, that's the place that's going to give you the best bang for your buck. As far as the opening 90 days. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about everything. We're going to go over some numbers to help you with that. So 90-day plan, you got it. February, there's multiple schools going on. I believe there's a school in March. I think there's also we're working on having a one-day school in local in the first couple weeks of April. 4 or 5 hour Super Saturday. I'll let you know that on that. As I've spoke to many of you, things are opening up. When hallelujah, when the masks come off the kids, Shaq was just mentioning with his preschool or his daughter, is that that things are breaking open. The new normal, and for us, the new normal is going to be some sort of combination of using everything we learned in the COVID process of Zoom and dark houses and doing a lot of things through Zoom and with our clients and group meetings and dynamics. However, I assure you that the people that are going to grow in this new year are going to take some combination of real life, look you in the face, and one-on-one with real people in real situations, not on Zoom. You can't. It's two-dimensional. It's great. It works. But you have to have a locker room someplace, somewhere, sometime that you look the people in the eye that are going to be with you long range and full time. And certainly when it comes to the part-time to full-time transition and full-time to RVP transition, that exists. So I don't know if that's 30-70. I don't know if that's 20-80. I don't know, but I know it's some combination, and you got to figure out yours. We're not going 100% back, but things that got us to where we are still are great things. And of course, we've got many, many people who've never seen those things because they got started in COVID. So they don't even know those exist. So it's going to be interesting because a lot of people, as we've done this, you guys all know getting on Zoom is easier than driving to an office. You guys know that turning off the Zoom is easier than going to a dark house or not, right? And I like the idea, and like all of you do, that we don't waste our time. I think Zoom allows us not to waste time, but it's not where the leadership factory is. And so we're going to have to retool people's minds, especially those who haven't been around us when we were all we did was one-on-one meetings, is that this is how we build here, right? And they're going to resist because it takes a little bit more effort. Anything takes more effort, it's harder to do, man. You know how it works. So that's fine. We buy it, I own it, that's what's going to happen, but that's how we build something here. If you want to be a vice president, that's what you're going to do. If you want to be full-time, if you want to make money, that's what's going to happen. As you have many stories, I have, we all have people we know. And Merrill Lynch, I've got a friend of mine in Charleston who's been at Merrill Lynch for 20 plus years, big player in Merrill Lynch. Basically, they told him he's been kicking ass at home in his office, but he's a very disciplined guy. But when he gets to his office through COVID, he's on the Zoom from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock every day, either talking to his clients, talking to the brokers, because he manages a large sum of money. He's a 7-figure income earner at Merrill Lynch. He's at it 20 years. He bust his ass. And he was so happy because he could bust his ass at home. Now, March 1, Merrill Lynch said basically everybody's back in. So tomorrow I will send him a text and with an emoji just kind of laughing, saying, I guess you're back to work, right? Because he's my friend, I can do it. But he doesn't want to go back there. He's one of the people that can work remotely. And there's so few of those that are actually any good at it. So he'll be back at Merrill Lynch. And this is in Charleston, which we're pretty opened up already. But Merrill Lynch was back in your office, 9 to 5. He hadn't been in his office in 2 years. He forgot he had suits in his office. Okay. He went back there. It was like, he goes, oh my God. He goes, it's like a shock. He goes, I'm so used to doing this on my own. And now I've got to get to work, get to my office, do the stuff, all the blah, blah. And guys, that's happening all over, right? Because most high players that aren't done yet are going to do that. Now, we're blessed again because we have a hybrid. Once again, we can still sell what we can do. And the cat's out of the bag. If you can work from home and make money, the last thing you want to do is go to your office. If you can do it. So once again, advantage Primerica, there's going to be people that the door will be open because they'd like to go back to that system because they've had a taste of it. All right. So I want to keep the meeting quick as far as keep it simple. So when I'm going to go over some quick recognition, and then I want to bring a couple folks that I want to get some input from them on what's happening in the month. Look, work in Primerica and management in Primerica. Let me help you distinguish between the two. Work in Primerica, I love people who are in management, they're working. Being on a Zoom call is not working, okay? Being on a Zoom call is work, but it's not working. Sitting with people one-on-one and work with them and getting a check from them, that's working. Now, I understand, look, I totally get that if you have a large group and you're working with people and you're managing and you have enough to manage, wonderful. But most people don't have enough to manage, and whoever they're managing, they shouldn't be. They should be building, because they're not going to be the right people yet. You don't know if that's the case. And part of that is because there's not a lot of full-timers. If you don't have a lot of full-timers, you're crazy to be in management right now. Why? Because they're suspect, they're part-time, they're good. So the more full-timers you get, pre-RVP, potential vice presidents, the more that you can make that transition to you're really working with people that are competent enough to work with their people. But until then, most people have to do it themselves until you find some people that watch you to do it. So I consider work is the people that are putting their name on applications personally and doing it personally, all right? Because that's called work. Now, is that the most profitable work? No, the most profitable work in Primerica ultimately is teaching people how to do that and build a business that has a lot of people doing that. However, it's still the work. So let me help with some folks. These are the last 60 days, all personal recruits. Carrie Childs, 13. She's under Walter Charles. This is all levels, right? Tony Reyna with 9. Darren Charles with 8. Letitia Jones under Derek Parker with 7. Personal. Bao Lai under Shaq, I think it's under Jen, with 8. Jen Lee, 8. Veronica Smith, 8 under Shannon Graham. Josh Perez, 7 under Samir. Leticia again, that's 2. Okay, show up twice. Oh, well, I don't know how she showed up twice, but it says 7 again, so that's interesting. Then Marion Zensmere, which I'm going to screw that up, but I know who she is. Well, it doesn't mean I can't screw it up. 6, Yesdaya Hikado under I screwed that up. Sorry, Samir, you're gonna have to clean this up for me. And hallelujah, Shondell and Mike Doby, I can say that under Samir. So Samir has done a great job. Samir has more people in his base that are actually recruiting directs. Now, I understand if they're in there, Samir has a great part of helping them do that, but their name is affixed to an application, something, right? It's them. Talking to somebody, and you'll hear from him in a second. I was asking about Primerica and how he understands, like what's when people have name recognition, Primerica, and he goes, I'm not selling Primerica. He said, I'm selling my brand. I love that. And I'm gonna say, and the numbers he has proves that he is, right? Ultimately, the ultimate brand is your brand. And he's done quite a bit. Well, I'll talk about this in a little bit later about in the investment side as well as working with people. So remember that, guys, you're the brand. Yeah, Primerica, this, that, other people. I don't give. At the end of the day, you can do nothing about that. What you can do is how's your brand doing. And so we'll talk more about that as we go. So anyway, congratulations. Stopped at 6 because that's what we had. So Samir had 4 that hit those sheets, and Shaq had 3. What a shocker. Samir and Shaq are our top 1 and 2 base shops. All right, so if you have more of your people hit the sheets at the very basic level, which is personal recruiting, right? That's the base of the base. Say, well, I don't have any people. How many people you have on the personal recruiting? And in Maryland, it stops at 5, and in Virginia, it stops at 6. So that's basically it. So that's 1. Personal premium, real quick here. Darren Charles, 28,000 last 60 days. Marcel, 25,000, 21 cases. Hang Mang always up there with 23,000. And Hang Mang's not even on this call, I'm sure. However, Hang Mang is being overridden by people who are on this call. So you may not be the Hang Mang, but it's great to find a Hang Mang, right? And this guy's been doing it year in, year out, year in, year out. One day when he figures out how to recruit, he will build something bigger than himself. But I'm very excited that Hang Mang's in business with me and our team, right? And Tony Reyna, 18,000 years. Tony's been doing this. Hector Lazo, 15, almost 15,000. Denise Murphy under Christian's base, 13,000. Deepak Shaw, 13,000 personal. Why am I selling this? Why am I talking about this? Because these folks, hey, this is by definition working. Putting your name on an application, collecting a check from somebody, and putting that to work. Do people help them do this? Of course. That's where the rubber hits the road at the beginning of the business. So if you're thinking about this, say, where do I start? That's a good place. Start at the start. Yusuf, 12,000. Andrew Hakiza, 12,000. Edgar Martinez, 11,000. Miki Peel, 11,000. Shannon Graham, 11,000. Flora Lobos under Miguel, regional leader, I believe, I'm not sure, but 11,000. Gordon and Jennifer, 11,000 RVPs, of course. Monroe Weeks, 10,000. Jen Lee, 10,000 K. Lynette Garris, 10,000. We stopped at 10,000. So hats off to the folks that are out on the battlefield. Okay, not where you want to be yet, but you're on the battlefield. My advice to you is have other people on the battlefield watching you. That's how you get out of the battlefield. One day your goal is to be out of the battlefield, but you can only do that if you have people watching you in the battlefield and then getting a license. Another quick one on the licensing. Securities, I want to hit that real quick too as well. Because the numbers tell you tons. When you start looking at the numbers, you have enough people. And if you don't have enough people, all you got to look is the company numbers. It really sets the program up. So here's what we've got. We've got Tom DiGirolamo. Tom did 32 initial accounts last month. Now, 32 securities accounts. Now, Tom is a great securities player. He's the best we got. Tom is at $750,000 in income. Tom tells me when I talk to him, he's the happiest human being you want to meet. I work 15, 20 hours. He's got it down. He knows how to do it. He's a pro. He has great relations with people. Tom DiGirolamo is the brand of his investments under the Primerica umbrella. Has done a great job, has a couple RVPs, was able to transfer to them, make $100,000. But Tom does his thing. And I think he tells me he works 15 hours a week, maybe 20 hours a week. And he's been doing that for years. $750,000. It's incredible. Now, are you going to be a Tom D? Don't know that, but can you have a third of Tom D? Can you be a 10th of Tom D? Can you? Come on. But he's good. So Tom's at 32. Deepak had 27. By the way, Tom did $1.7 million in initial volume so far. So far this month, he's at 60, almost 60,000 in income. That's Interesting. Deepak's did almost 500,000 at 27 initial accounts. Now, all the money they have is not coming from initial accounts, obviously. But unless you have initial accounts, you have no chance of getting more money, because the money most of these guys and gals are getting is from referrals from accounts they have. Look, you're in business. If someone's making a ton of money on French fries, and you say, but I just want to do hamburgers, I would add French fries. Also, securities is where you keep your full-timers. That's how you really keep people in the business, because now they see a bigger business. But it's not today. You don't get a securities license as a district leader, but somehow down the road, being a full-time person means being securities licensed. It always has, and it always should. My guy can't pass the test. Get him to pass the test. My girl can't pass this. I'm sorry, get him to pass the test. Figure it out. Okay, people have been doing it for 40 years here. Figure it out. Then Anthony Malone. I'll talk about Anthony in a second. Anthony's at 500,000 with 21 transactions. So anyway, hey, what I'm saying about transactions, if you're doing a transaction, you got to be doing a transaction. It's your name on the application. Those folks are working their business, and I'll get into that in a second. So anyway, there's some more things on that are really interesting about formulating your business. The most important thing to me, listen to me, my teammates and my friends, listen to me, is that you become financially independent. I don't give a crap ultimately. I mean, I want your family to be healthy, but the only thing that I know I can help you do is get FI. Okay, so everything I talk to you about, everything I frame everything about is how do I help that guy or gal looking at me on the screen get totally FI as soon as possible. So if I take that in my mind, if that's high ground, if you're okay with that, then you will have no problem me pushing you in that direction. If you want to be FI, if you want to be something else, then I'm probably not the coach for you, because nothing else to me matters in the Primerica model if you're going to spend your life and time and effort in this model. And the great news is every one of you can be FI. The question is, how big of an FI do you have? And so, our number one base shop, number one player, last, I want to get him on first, just to kind of get some, I went over some numbers, but always making money. He's at 350 grand, basically, with one RVP, two, I'm not sure. It's like just a great model of how to make 350 grand with an RVP factory starting, right? And so he's got tons of new people coming on board, and it's got a great full-time. Also, the licenses are high as well. And so I was looking at that. If you look at who got licensed, Shaq and Samir in Virginia, and also Base have the most licenses as well as the most recruits. Okay, not a shocker, doing the whole job. So Samir, I'm excited for you to be kind of input here on what you got going on and what's happening in your business, and how are you duplicating. Sheila Bustamante, 15,000 regional leader. She's done this more than once. I think she'll make 100 grand pretty fast here. If she's not on it already. 15 grand, number one, last 60 days, future vice president in Maryland or Virginia at 15 grand income. So almost an $8,000 a month pace. So another example. So all the pieces of the puzzle are there to start really firing off big time new vice presidents. And you better be talking about producing big time money making financially independent vice presidents. So I know Samir is. So Samir, fire away.
Hey, what's up, Bruce? And, I have a tendency to go on tangents. So definitely let's have a conversation if you want to realign what I'm talking about, and we can kind of go back and forth. But one of the things that when I sit down with people and I tell them, I say, what you do determines who you are, right? So if you are a real estate agent, you're going to look for clients so you can sell homes. If you're a real estate broker, you're going to look for agents that can sell homes for you, right? And it's the same thing in Primerica. So people set their goals for the year and they want to grow their income. But one thing that I've learned from you and many other leaders is that there are certain metrics within your business that can grow, but it doesn't mean that your business grew. So I can grow my income. It doesn't mean my business grew. I can grow my premium. Maybe my business didn't grow, right? I can even grow my IBAs, and they shouldn't happen, but sometimes your business doesn't grow. So Shaq always taught me that there's certain metrics that you can't fake And that's what really determines real growth. And that's going to be licensing, and it's going to be attendance. It's really difficult to fake that. And if those things are growing, 99% of the time your business is growing. So the question I always have for myself is not how much money do I want to make, but how do I want to make the money? I want to make the money passively. The way that you make passive income is through getting more independent producers. Independent producers are preceded by more licensed agents, and licensed agents are preceded by recruits. And so that's what we talk about a lot is how many people are you in front of talking about getting involved in the business? And I think that people complicate recruiting. To me, recruiting is a new friend that you've made, right? We all have the ability to go out and meet new people and network. So maybe it's a new friend that wants to join your business. Maybe it is really, it's just somebody who says, you know what, I'm not happy with the money that I'm making, and maybe I should try something different where there's no pressure and I get to choose my own schedule and I get to have a mentor and there's no quotas, and maybe this will change my situation. And that's largely the entire population. So we have to kind of simplify it down to how are we not getting 3, 4, 5 people a month to just say, hey, I want to try something to change my situation because I'm not happy where I am right now. It doesn't mean that you're giving your life to Primerica or you're giving your life to financial services, you're making this huge career change. It's just, hey, you know what? I think maybe I could do better in my life. I'm not where I want to be. I don't have the things that I want to have. So a direct is just someone saying, hey, yeah, I'll sign up to try to get a license and try to do this business. And so that's kind of the way that I explain it to my team to simplify it. And, you know, the standard is if you're full-time, you got to get 3 to 5 in a month. And if you're part-time, you should get 2 to 3. And when I came in the business, there was only so many ways that you recruit, right? You'd walk around and talk to people, or you'd go into your warm market. Now there's so many different ways. People go on LinkedIn, people go on social media. There's various social media platforms that you can go on, and people advertise, and people call resumes, and people still walk around, and people go into their warm market. I mean, there's endless ways. So, you know, if someone is not producing, fine, you're not producing. It could be a skill issue. It could be a will issue, whatever the case. But how could we not be bringing people into the business to try something new to potentially change their situation or go in a different direction? That's when things can really slow down for you. And so if you're having issues in certain areas, that's fine. But no matter who you are, how new you are, where your skill level is, if your belief is high and you really want to do something here, then that personal recruiting needs to stay high. So those are some of the conversations that we have. So, and you have examples of that. You know, Shondell and Josh are perennial recruiters. They're the best recruiters on my team. They're amazing. They're really largely where a lot of the base shop recruiting comes from. You know, they've done 20, 30, 40 in a month. So they're amazing at that. And then we have examples like Esmeralda and her brother Esmaldo that are, you know, fairly new. And, you know, she went out there and got 6 recruits in a month. And so you have examples on both ends of the spectrum, which kind of proves that it's not about experience. It's about belief. It's about excitement. Those are the people that are getting people to move forward. You have Marin in there who just committed to, you know, she's she has young children. She's a mom first, but she committed to working on the front end of the business. You cannot have results come out of the back end if you're not focusing on putting time in on the front end. And I just talked about this on Saturday. As a full-timer, you better be spending 3 hours a day on front end activity if you want things to come out in the back end, whether it's cash flow, premium, recruits, licenses, whatever it is. So she's committed to that, and she's super consistent. She's getting a bunch of licenses. So we have a lot of new stories. And of course, Sheila, who is just an unbelievable example of what you can do here in a very short amount of time. I think she made 50 grand her first 18 months, not in the 18 months. When 18 months had passed, she'd already crossed over 50. You know, but before I forget, also, you know, you had texted me that I'm making $1,000 in income per 1,000 of premium. That's what Hector always said, right? He's like, if you do 50 grand, you should be making 50,000 a month. If you're doing 30 grand, you should be making 30,000 a month. And last year I did about 360, 380 in premium. I made about 360, you know, something. So the reason why is because we have 3 watches in the base shop, right? I remember Omar Orpesa used to brag about that a few years ago, and I was like, man, that's something that, you know, these guys should have the watch, and Shondell has the watch, and Josh has the watch, and Sheila has the watch, and now Sheila is about to go over the ring. And my last point here, and you can ask me if you want me to talk about anything different, but you never underestimate the power of someone who's going for something. You know, that's when we say when people are on their run to an RVP,
Amen.
all of a sudden the directs show up, the attendant shows up, the producers show up. They're just on a different wavelength. When people go on their run for $1 million, we see what happens, how it galvanizes the team. And so, you know, she wants to get that ring. She knows that that's rare air if you can do that prior to regional vice president. And so she was going for something, and it's reflected in her income. These numbers don't come on accident. So last thing I'll leave you guys with is, like, everyone's got to think, am I going for something, or am I kind of just trying to hit those normal numbers every month? It's difficult to maintain when you're not going for something. So things in Primerica can happen really fast, but you got to set that goal, go for something, and everything will, you know, will kind of, you'll build the momentum from that.
Right, Samir, question. I'm gonna show you guys. So funny. Me and Samir have not talked about this conversation, right? So I'll tell you this. So my notes, and I'll get a little bit more into this, but hey, financial independence, what is real growth? That's what it says. What is sustainable growth, and what is compounding growth? He just said passive, right? New producers are part-time, new reproducers are full-time. Recruit to licenses is the game to make money now. It never changes. It just never, the formula, the ultimate formula doesn't change. People's attitude change. I'll tell you, a challenge is when you're trying to give the formula to old people. Say, well, I said all those things, but you're saying it to people who don't believe and aren't going for anything. They're going to be around you. They're going for your monthly contest, but they internally are not going. You're managing them, and that's wonderful if that's all you got. So, Samir, my question is, obviously Shondell and Mike have been around, but they kind of grew up in the business. She was young, and she's matured in Primerica, as a lot of young people do in our business, Shondell and Mike. But these other folks are fairly new, right? I mean, you've got, when I say fairly new, they've been in less than 3 years. Is that correct or not? Am I off?
Yeah, Sheila I think she's approaching 4. I don't remember exactly.
Part-time,
but she was super part-time.
Okay,
I mean, the first year and a half, wasn't even coming to meetings, I think, for the first 6 to 8 months. And she's a new full-timer as of, I think, October or November. So she quit a six-figure job, new full-timer. Esmeralda and her brother, they are maybe like 6 months in.
Right.
Also new full-timers though. He just went full-time in November. She's been full-time a little bit longer, but they're very, very new.
Okay. And the reason people go full-time is because they see themselves winning here big. They see themselves being a vice president, having their own business. If you're
Marin too full-time. Sorry, I don't want to leave anyone out. Sure. She's working hard.
Who
Marin full-time.
Oh,
Marin,
yeah. Gotcha.
Zinsmeyer.
When did she go full-time?
Late last year. I mean, she's very new as well.
To my point and to yours is this conversation is resonating on people who've made bigger commitments to go to the next level. So when you make a commitment to go to the next level, great things happen. You're not talking to people who've been full-time for 12 years or 3 years or 5 years. It's not that's an internal conversation they're having problems with. They could win one day, but it's those part-time to make full-time those commitments. And now all of a sudden got a wave of people. The conversation is different. Your conversation is the same. I believe it's more intense with full-timers, and their listening level is higher. You know, I've got kids. The minute they got to cut their own check to stuff, they listen to what I say a lot more than when I'm cutting the check. I'm just sorry. They're great kids and all that. But when I cut the check, not the quite same hearing. When they cut the check, pretty sensitive to what's happening. And it's just human beings in life. So Samir, the reality is you've always had a system, you've had a concept, you've always made money, you put it together. I mean, that has been you. You're consistent, you're focused. Now you have a wave of, you have a anchor, and obviously Shondell and Mike and Josh underneath them, and you got an anchor there. But then you started adding people to that process through COVID. And now you have more full-timers, which, by the way, now it's really important. They should be making money, and you expect them to make money, and you expect them to be free, and you expect them to have their own business. And your model is the business for their model. Is that fair? I can't hear you. Can't hear. Can't hear you. Can't hear.
I know Shaq had muted the whole thing. That's
Oh,
I
sorry,
had
sorry.
to get him
Thank you,
down.
Shaq.
Yeah. Yeah. What was your question?